If you've been listening to the podcast for a while and thought, man, I would love to grab a drink and pick the brain of some of these guests I've been listening to, or maybe me as well, here's your shot. I'm putting on an event this April called Elevate. This is the third year doing this, and we're going to be in Phoenix, Arizona, where we're going to have the top agency owners really come together, share what's working, get real on what's not, and really help each other scale faster. So if you're ready to finally get out of the weeds and grow your agency the right way, I want you to join me and 50 other amazing 7 and 8 figure agencies at Elevate. You'll connect with people who've been there, leave with a real growth plan, and actually enjoy the process. Now, we only have a few tickets left, so make sure you go over to elevatemyagency.com to lock in your spot now. Go to elevatemyagency.com now. Hey, Chase, welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, tell us who you are, what you do.
Yeah, my name is Chase Clymer. I'm one of the co-founders at an agency called Electric Eye. We optimize and build stores in the Shopify ecosystem. We're Shopify Plus partners. We've been doing this since 2016, and we're getting a lot more into CRO these days. But yeah, just work with direct-to-consumer brands, helping them kind of raise their average order value, raise their conversion rate. Revenue per session is a big metric that we're after.
Cool. How did you get into this?
Being in a band didn't pay the bills.
What kind of band?
I was in a pop punk band, signed a couple of record deals, went on tour all over the country a couple times. It was a lot of fun, but didn't really pay much. So I was like always figuring out how to use a laptop to make money. I was a photographer when I was in college before I dropped out. That didn't really translate to like being on the road. So I started to learn marketing. I started to learn websites, started to learn advertising. I was really more on the strategy side of stuff. That was interesting to me. And towards the end of my music career, I had known my business partner. We actually designed my band's album art together for the first couple albums. So I knew Sean, but he had exited his old company and he approached me, not really starting a business. He just said, hey, I've got these projects and I think your expertise would help. Next thing we knew, we had like a half a dozen clients and we were like, oh, what are taxes? I think we need an LLC.
Oh, yeah. What are taxes? Yeah, that was a learning curve for, I think, all of us. My story was very similar, but I was in a fake band making fun of NSYNC called In Shit.
I remember saying that.
So you were in a real band. I met someone, I was at an event speaking at a couple weeks ago, and he was a drummer for a really famous band. And I was like, he's like, yeah, I was in a band. And he just kind of played it off, which I always respected. And then Darby was like, you've probably heard this in the 90s or the early 2000s. I was like, oh, son of a bitch. I was like, that's pretty cool.
It's funny, though, because like the type of music I played is really popular with all of the people that we're interacting with, tech partners. And we can talk about partnerships a little bit more in a minute. But like it's the right age. They go, wait, what band? And then I'm like, I don't tell anyone. I'm like, you can use Google. Yeah. You are smart. You work in this industry.
Yeah.
Like that's all you get out of me is, yes, I wasn't a band.
That's cool. That's cool, man. That's awesome. Let's talk about partnerships. Obviously, you're a partner with Spotify or not Shopify. I don't know why I thought about Spotify. I guess maybe because
I've got a story about that actually.
Right.
I was at the Shopify partner thing 2 or 3 years ago. And they always get guests at all these, conferences, like guests, artists, rappers or bands or whatever. And this one, it was Lupe Fiasco. And there's 3,000 people at this thing in Canada at some like weird shipyard, like event center. And Lupe Fiasco keeps going like, thank you, Spotify. And like by the 10th time, everyone's like laughing every time he does it. Cause it's like, there's a sign behind him. It's a big green sign that says Shopify. Yeah. So, but that happens all the time. To the point where like most partners just like ignore it because clients do it too.
That's hilarious. That's pretty funny. But let's talk about the partnerships. What made you really kind of establish a partnership? Because that helped us when we were growing and scaling to find that up and coming technology. So what made you partner with Shopify?
Yes. Honestly, because they were super nice. Like we had a point of contact there when we first got started. So when the agency started, we were like kind of agnostic, cutting our teeth, trying to figure out like what we liked to do and what we were good at. And we were a little bit more full service back then versus now. But within that, so I had a lot of more experience in WordPress before this agency. And we basically like signed up for the partner program. A real person emailed us, a real person got on the phone, and then she invited us to like, hey, we're doing this like partner conference, not the one I just described, but like we're doing this partner event thing. You guys should come. We'll get you tickets, meet some other people. And we had never experienced that with any of these other technologies out there. Simultaneously, Sean and I are evaluating what we want to do with this agency. And we realize I always had this idea of like, if you can validate the results you're getting for people, they're probably will be happier to pay you money. So like, how do we get closer to the money? So e-commerce projects were pretty easy to show lifts and gains. And, we helped you do this because here's dollars behind it. So we knew we wanted to get more into e-commerce, and Shopify back then in 2015, 2016 was nothing like what it is now. Like people didn't know what it was. It was like new. And I'm telling everyone, it was just luck. We were at the right place at the right time by partnering with them. But I mean, there's other technologies that are coming out all the time. Like right now, I see a lot of hype around Framer. People are building agencies around that. There's all sorts of stuff. There's always a new cool thing. But I would highly recommend just like being known as good at one thing, or even doubling down into like one thing for one type of client is, you've said it a million times on here. I'm repeating it. It makes it so much easier. If your roof is leaking, you don't hire a general contractor, you hire a roofer.
That's right. And you are right. It is kind of lucky who you pick as a partner. But like some people, they'll listen to this and be like, oh, I need to be partners with Shopify or AKA Spotify. Right. And that's not what we're saying. You need to find ones that you can deliver amazing results that are kind of up and coming, that could kind of pull you into their ecosystem. That's how we got on the big stages, which then led to all of those people using SharePoint or those CMSs in order to, say, oh, you guys are experts at this because you were on that stage. I saw those results, and they bring you in. Is that what's really kind of happened with Shopify?
Well, it's not even just Shopify. Like partner, like that is like a core technology partner. Like, but it's almost like unobtainium at this point with just what who they are in the zeitgeist. They're huge. They're a household name, right? I'm not saying you can't become a Shopify partner today. You absolutely can. Like, and I believe there's so much work out there in e-commerce. So many brands are coming online. You're not a competitor. I don't believe in that. Like, you come and join the ecosystem. Doesn't bother me. But what I'm saying is we were lucky to do it at the beginning, and that allowed us to grow with them. Now Shopify is to such a maturity stage that there are businesses built on the back of their infrastructure that are going public, and you can meet those people and become friendly with them. And so there are apps in the Shopify ecosystem that you can be partners with, right? There are ones that are just getting started, and they would love to have partners to help build cooler things with their product that solves these particular problems in the industry. All of my examples are going to be e-commerce related because that's what I do. I'm glad you're here to talk about SharePoint and other things, but like, yeah, it's like...
Do you even know what SharePoint is?
No, I have no clue.
Most people don't anymore. I'm just showing my age, I guess. So,
but yeah, I mean, we got Slack channels with a lot of these app partners. I think we probably got like 30 or 40 shared channels with folks where we're communicating in real time, and it's the two-way street. We're bringing them deal flow, and they're bringing us into conversations as well. And it's with just how complicated e-commerce sites are, there's specific problems that are solved with specific solutions. And the way that Shopify approaches things, they want to do 80% of things for 80% of merchants, and that other 20% is what that ecosystem is for, is to customize or use off-the-shelf solutions to customize for those particular use cases.
Yeah, I like that. What other ways do you use in order to, generate new business for the agency?
I'm happy you asked. Podcasting is awesome. So I started my podcast not too long after you. So 2019, I think, is the first week of January 2019 is when we put out our first episode. Been doing it ever since. Now we're doing bonus episodes, all sorts of stuff. But getting that started was more because I didn't want to write and less because we had any sort of game plan behind it. these days it is the most powerful tool in our like toolbox for meeting our ideal client.
Why is that? Do you ask them to be on the podcast? Do they listen to the podcast?
100%. I will be like, that's a cool brand. I will find their CEO and I'll reach out to them on LinkedIn, right? Like there's a little more to it. Got follow-ups, there's some automation, there's more, I will do that. I will go to conferences with a media pass on the back of the podcast. I will then turn those relationships into me hosting panels at these conferences. Now I'm on a stage talking to my ideal client. I'm at these conferences talking to brands and they're like, why are you here? Instead of saying, oh, we sell Shopify optimization services. No, it's like, hey, I've got a top 5% podcast and I'd love to feature your story. Now you're not starting off on your back foot. You're building a genuine relationship with these people. From there, though, is where things get difficult. Making sure you have something that they're interested in, potentially selling them afterwards. Figuring that out has taken years. And I don't even think we have it figured out yet, but we definitely have a way better strategy now on the back end of turning those podcast conversations into clients.
Hi there, agency owners. Let me ask you, are you ready to scale your agency without increasing your overhead costs? If yes, then you need to know about E2M Solutions. Now, E2M is the number one most reliable white label partner for agencies. They specialize in web design, WordPress development, e-commerce, SEO, and content writing. They basically do all the heavy lifting, which frees you up to focus on growing your agency. Now, here's the best part. E2M's just not another vendor. With over 10 years of experience, their team of over 300 experts has a track record of delivering for more than 300 agencies. They're your strategic partner. They deliver on time every time, so you can focus on what you do best. Now, E2M's mission is simple: to help 500 agencies increase their revenue and profit margins with white label services that actually work. And to help you get started, they're offering a special deal, 10% off for the first 3 months, but act fast because it's only a limited time offer. So head over to e2msolutions.com/smartagency to check out their transparent and their flexible pricing. Trust me, if you're ready to grow without burning out, E2M's the partner you've been looking for. That's e2msolutions.com/smartagency. Go check them out and tell them Jason Swank sent you. What does that back end look like for you? Because our members always hear me like it's a broken record. I say two things: start a podcast, double your prices. And it's almost like a drinking game. And it's like the other members are like, Jason's about to say this, right? Like they know it's coming. And a lot of people, they'll do a podcast for a couple months and then they kind of give up. Or they're like, hey, I've been doing this and I haven't generated any business. So what are some of the things that you figured out works? And then I want to go into some of the things that did not work for you on that.
Yeah. So what works is, one, we do it at an insane velocity. So I'm producing an episode a week with a brand. So I've got a team that helps with that stuff. And then obviously sourcing those people is another thing. But so you got to think of it, I think there's 56 weeks in a year. I don't know, but right, you only have that many at bats with these people.
You're not a math major, you're an agency owner.
Yeah, you get it. So anyways, like you only have so many at bats with talking to these brands. And then you have to like remember that you have to be meeting them where they are in time. I have so many conversations with people where they're like, I wish I met you 3 months ago. We just did this big project that you probably would have been a great person to bid on it. That's going to happen. But also you're going to meet people then, but then you're going to meet people right before. When that happens, it's like lightning in a bottle. But oftentimes it's just, you meet them, they're great. And then you put them on a special email list. You keep following up. Now what I've started to do, this is as recently as 3 weeks ago. And this is a conversation I had with another person doing kind of a consulting thing in the SaaS space, is basically saying, I have this idea for something I want to sell brands. Can I talk to you about this idea and get your thoughts and feedback on it? And that has got me a lot of conversations. And that's also from these conversations is we're getting more and more into this conversion rate optimization performance arena where we're betting on ourselves. And if we win, we're winning big.
Do you send a couple episodes to them before they come on the show so they can listen? really kind of you get indoctrinated to them a little bit?
So I force a pre-interview call with folks, and I do that call myself, little 15 minutes. And the answer is like, I've got a spiel. I answer all the questions that they might have, but that touch point gives you it makes the second conversation a lot easier. And I don't know, like more time in the paint makes like the relationship like evolve a little bit quicker. So that's what I do. But sometimes they do and I'm just like, yeah, go to honestecommerce.com, check out a couple episodes. But the story arc for mine are kind of always the same. It's like, where did the idea for the product come from? How to go from an idea to an actual physical thing? How to go from this thing to a business? How'd you get your first customers? How'd you scale from there? What's going on now? That's every episode.
I looked at ours when we started our podcast. We've been doing it 11 years now. I can't believe it. When I first started out, the whole goal and the number one goal has always been to create amazing content, to, for the people listening in, to be like a fly on the wall to two agency owners chatting and to see what they can kind of pick up. And then when we started inviting our perfect clients on the podcast sometimes, right? I wanted them to listen to the show, especially if they never heard of us. And I was like, hey, check out the show, with us interviewing Seth Godin or this agency owner you may never have heard of, but it's really amazing. And then what it did is like, oh yeah, like I really like this. And then they start becoming a listener, right? And most people that engage with us, and this is where you have to be very patient, which I'm not the most patient person, but when I tell you this, it's like, all right, we've created this really good moat because most people, when they start listening to the podcast, they'll work with us maybe 2 or 4 years out. I can promise you all the stupid ass competitors out there don't have that patience. And so when you guys go into creating a podcast, you have to think about that. So my goal is like, get them to listen to the show, right? And move on. The other thing I'll tell you that you should do is at the very end, whenever you do like your outro, if you do an outro, do it with the guest on. And, I've always kind of customized that outro, whether it be for a mastermind or an event we have coming up. And a lot of times the guest will go, hey, tell me more about that. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And if they don't, that's fine too. We wrap up and then we have follow-up sequences. And if they never talk to us again, that's fine. Hopefully they start listening to the show. But that's something that's worked for us for the past 9 years.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head with when you are pitching being a guest on the podcast. It is the number one thing is I want to make a cool piece of content. Everything else is a bonus. It's like the goal is to make a cool piece of content. And I'm transparent about that, but I'm also transparent about the fact that like, yeah, I do work in an industry and you potentially could be a client. And I'm never pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. When they're emailing me, it's my agency email. They will go to it. They're like, hey, what's this? And I tell them, right? And they're like, oh, like, is this some sort of lead gen thing? I go, it sometimes works that way, but I really just want to make, I just want to make this piece of content. And I think being transparent about it and not trying to be transactional is useful. But also something I've done on the tail end of the episodes is I automated pitching them the offer because I still get in my head at times. And I think some people they'll talk to people that are out of...
Tell us, how did you automate the offer?
Oh, I mean, I did set up like a Zap and some email flows to pitch them into an outreach. Yeah, into the outreach, like the campaign set up in my automation software to hit them with like the offer that we are kind of pitching at that time to podcast guests. But we used to send it manually. And I had to automate because I'd get in my head at times like these people they got it all figured out.
Don't want to hear from me.
Exactly.
Yes,
but once I started automating it, like I was getting like big brands are responding and interested in talking and learning more. And so that's one thing, is you're always your own worst enemy when it comes to who would want to work with you or think you're worthwhile working with. And, it goes beyond that, pricing, all sorts of stuff. It's like, get out of your own head, talk to other people.
Yeah, I recently, someone asked me to be on their podcast. And, we've been doing this strategy for a very long time and it's worked well. And I won't mention this company name. I want to so bad because like you all probably have gotten all those bullshit emails, like I'll generate 40 more appointments for your agency and all this kind of stuff, but I'm not going to do it. And so they asked me to be on the podcast and right away, all their questions were total fucking bullshit. They're like, how do you generate business? What's your biggest challenge? It was a sales call in disguise. I guarantee it, they probably will never publish any of it. So for everyone listening, don't do stuff like that. Really like create the content, the best content you can. And if a guest sucks, don't post it.
Yeah, I think the more conversational your podcast could be, like you said, you want it to be like a fly on the wall. It's just like what I believe Jason's trying to replicate here is two guys or gals are talking at like a dinner and a third person's eavesdropping, like about agency stuff. Like that is what you're trying to invoke. And if it's too Q&A and staccato, which my first couple dozen episodes were.
Oh, in the beginning, if you listen to the beginning ones, they all suck.
Yeah, these days I quickly skim the pre-interview notes that I ask people to fill out, and I just go, "How do I say your name? Let's go."
I have it a step further, which sometimes I'll use, sometimes I don't, because my personality is not to prep. When I jumped on the podcast with you, I was like, tell me a little bit about the agency. That's all I really knew other than some of the notes. But I do have an AI agent that goes out, looks on LinkedIn, looks at some of the answers that you've filled out from the questions, and it comes up with some general questions. And sometimes it's good. Like I can look at it over here. I haven't looked at it one time since we were on. Sometimes I'll look at it, like if I'm like, feel like you got to pull, like pull the answers. We've all had that guest on. We're like, God damn it, man. Like, this is not a conversation. It's like, hey, tell me how you got the agency started. I don't know. I just want to start one.
Yeah. No, and that's why I do the pre-interview call. Sometimes it's rare that I won't have them on as a guest, but sometimes I'll like coach them a little bit more on that pre-interview call. But the content, usually you can get it out of them and you massage them, and we're editing these things.
Oh, you do a lot of editing? We really don't edit much on these.
We edit a bit, like especially with some introvert founders where they want to say something again a different way. You know, it's like, yeah, just in the moment, say it. Jared's fantastic at, he'll chop that bit out and now you've got a succinct answer.
Yeah. I don't know. I like it when the cat jumps on the screen, distracts the owner. You know, I'm like, no, we're fucking leaving that in. Like it's just real life. Like I feel like when I got started in this particular business, I remember seeing like the people in suits and ties, and they'd be on video, like all buttoned up, and they'd be talking to you. And I'd be like, I fucking don't believe you. I don't trust you. Like you're too buttoned up versus like that raw. Like if you go back to some of my first couple podcasts, I have this ugly green screen in the back. I look like an Oompa Loompa just by the lighting. And I probably even look like an Oompa Loompa on this lighting right now, just how the sun's coming in my window. But who fucking cares, right? Like it's all about the conversation, have fun, get to know the guest, create some good content, and really, just have fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I hope that people are enjoying the conversation we're having. I'm enjoying it myself.
Yeah. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
Well, just showing up consistently is half of the battle. Like we've been doing this for almost a decade, and everything that is going well for us now is just because we showed up consistently over the past couple of years, right? And so I think that just once you decide that this is going to be a business you want to build, figuring out a way to increase your luck to getting more inbound leads is how you create a sustainable business. So is that content? Is that a podcast? Is it paid ads? Like whatever. You need to find one specific channel that if things are going slow and you can put energy into it, you can more than likely produce leads for your business. Once we kind of sussed that out 5 or 6 years ago, and the answer was podcasting was what we did, it made things a lot easier. And, now we have the luxury of wearing band t-shirts on phone calls and turning away work we don't want to do because we don't need it. But yeah, the luxury of that comes from essentially distribution, like having more inbound leads coming in. And that's the crux of every small business, is making sure that you can get more business when you want that business.
Yeah. And the podcast strategy that we just talked about, on the podcast, which sounds kind of weird. It's kind of
Very
funny,
meta.
right? It's like, it hits your inbound marketing, it hits your outbound sales, it builds strategic partnerships, and it sets you up to be that advisor that, people have listened to and trusted over the years. So I always just go, people are like, they always ask me for the secret for success. And I'm like, really? It's just consistency and do a podcast.
Yeah, I know. And I think if you were going to compare podcasting to anything, I think it's like SEO. It takes a while to see the fruits of your labor. You said you've had people come back 4 years later. You know what I mean? You're going to make these relationships along the way, and they will remember you. And as long as you are following up and trying to stay top of mind, you said it makes you a better strategic partner. Absolutely. We do bonus episodes with all these various people that we're partners with. I also, here's like a hidden thing. If you're not doing this, you should definitely do this. I have a separate newsletter specifically for partners. I send this out once a month. And it's like, hey, I'll be at this conference. We just launched this website. Give me leads. It's like, that's basically what it says every month. But I try to spend a little time on it, make it a little bit better. I actually write it, maybe with some assistance from AI, but like I'd really sit down and I try to do it. Every time I send that, we get a couple inbound, referrals. So just go back and look at your calendar for the last year of all those random tech partner calls, other agency folks. Like what we did when we narrowed our scope and like what we do, and we stopped doing email and we stopped doing paid ads. All of those people that we knew now just became great partners to refer work back and forth to as well. So put all those people in like one little list and just annoy them once a month.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Chase, thanks so much for coming on the show, and for everyone listening. Look, I understand that everything is moving faster than you probably want it to. And there's just no way to kind of keep up with all the stuff changing, from, the market, the AI, all that kind of stuff. And I really truly believe that your network is your edge and the people that you surround yourself with. And if you want to be a part of our community, make sure you go to agencymastery.io, check it out, and we'll have a conversation. And until next time, have a swank day.